The soap opera that is Chelsea rounds out a week of twists and turns with a visit from Manchester City. A chance for new boss Rafa Benitez to write a new chapter. Or has Roman Abramovich completely lost the plot? Plus this weekend's other top fixtures and the climax of the Formula One season. Joining me today are betting expert Tom Lee and Ian Axon of Reuters Sport. Gents, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Ian, let's start with Chelsea. What on earth is going on? I said that a week ago I was sitting here as a Baggies fan saying, could West Brom continue their good season and possibly beat Chelsea? Quite a lot has happened since then.
Of course, they went to West Brom on the weekend and lost. They lost in the Champions League, and it all ended up with Di Matteo being shown the door. And the soap opera that is Chelsea continues. If it's not Terry or Ashley Cole or the players on the pitch, it's the manager. Abramovich seems to change his mind on a seasonal basis. He's gone for Rafa Benitez. Some controversy. Chelsea fans don't really like him. I don't think it's a bad appointment. I think Benitez did very well at Liverpool. But what kind of gets me is that there's Guardiola hovering in the background as well, that he may come in June, July next summer, and Benitez may be shown the door. So what's going on, anyone knows. Let's
get this in context, though. The Chelsea fans called him the fat Spanish waiter. I mean, the only chance he's got is if he gets Torres playing properly. Is that it?
Well, I guess so. And if they've got Man City on Sunday, if he gets them back to the top of the league, beats City, gets them into the Champions League knockout stages, starts winning some silverware, then I'm sure the fans will grow to love him.
OK, well, Tom, let's talk about what all this means for the odds. Two teams, both sort of effectively out of Europe, one with a new manager. Where do the odds put this game?
It's fascinating by virtue of the fact that if you're Chelsea, surely at a time of upheaval, there's this sense of mild turmoil, if you will. Suddenly a new man coming in, the fans aren't happy, there's discord about the results, and they started so well. I mean, they started the season absolutely with a full head of steam. You look at that attacking triumvirate, Oscar, Hazard, Mata, great players. They look to have goals all over the pitch. And just exactly as you said, in the last few weeks, the skids have come underneath them, and you think to yourself, the one team they wouldn't want to be playing right now, with a sense of momentum building behind them, is the champions Manchester City, who of course turn up on Sunday afternoon at Stamford Bridge, having whacked Aston Villa last week. Obviously they got a good result midweek in the Champions League, coming back to get a point against Real Madrid. Clearly that won't salvage their European campaign, but potentially they can build on that now and move forward. And the bet, probably their biggest price with Coral at 7-4. Right. And I think if you're Chelsea, potentially that could spell a lot of danger, because City actually going there with some confidence. I would say that City's away record hasn't been the best. Equally in the league, they are unbeaten in 12. So there's
always that new manager syndrome, isn't there, where the team gather around him and perform.
There is, but on this occasion, potentially there's something slightly different now, because he's clearly the pick of Roman Abramovich. Is he the pick of the players? And how's the crowd going to react? Because if they go an early goal down on Sunday afternoon, I really wonder how the Stamford Bridge crowd are going to react. They can be a bit fickle at the best of times. And just to put it another way, Nigel, a very good bet potentially could be in this fixture, as it typically is, both teams to score. It's not a big price, it's one for the big hitters, but at 8-15, both teams to score. Just looking at the stats, City scored 14 in 18 of the last games, both teams scored, and Chelsea's last 20 games, in 13 of those, right, both teams scored. Okay. So it seems like there could be goals. I fancy City just to edge it, maybe about 2-1, but I think the bet probably at the prices 7-4 Manchester City.
OK, let's get on to another bit of managerial intrigue. This involves Benitez's former club at Liverpool. They're travelling to Brendan Rodgers' former club at Swansea, having lost to them in the Capital One Cup, of course. A must-win for Liverpool, this one?
Not necessarily. It's an away game. They've been a bit patchy, both home and away. I don't think it's a must-win. I think Rodgers, the ball seems to be backing him. It's a long-term job there at Liverpool, isn't it? The club are in a real mess after Benitez went and Dalglish kind of came in on a holding basis. I think Rodgers is the man for me, ongoing for 2 or 3 years, and he has to be given time at Liverpool to try and impose his own style. Squad's very threadbare. He wasn't given much chance in the transfer window. So for me, not a must-win game. Obviously, the pressure will mount if they go to Swansea and don't get at least a point. But Liverpool, their form seems to be gradually picking up, and I think they'll struggle to. There's some talk, I think, from Carragher that they may be aiming for fourth place, that final Champions League spot. I think they'll struggle to do that.
I was going to say they're far off it at the moment.
But I expect them to be kind of challenging for a Europa League place come the end of the season, 6th, 7th, I think.
Okay. So, Tom, as we were just hearing, Liverpool won just one away game in 6, a run which started with, guess what, a defeat to Swansea back in May. So how does the betting run up on this one?
Well, perhaps it's indicative that this is 10th versus 11th. So Swansea potentially perhaps just a little bit overachieving. Liverpool seem to be, as they have done in recent times, underachieving. It seems to me, certainly from a betting perspective, Liverpool Football Club still, every week, they're the bookmaker's best friend because they're priced up on name and reputation, not on actual achievements on the pitch. And going to a tough place like the Liberty Stadium, where Swansea have been going great guns at home, Swansea's home record this season, 2 wins, 3 draws, just the 1 solitary defeat. You look at that, Liverpool are just above even money. Best price is 23 to 20, but typically evens 11 to 10 for the away win. And they've only managed to win 1 on the road. That would lead people to say, well, Bet365 go 5 to 2 the draw. But I do think with their recent run, Swansea have been going really well. 1-1 at Chelsea, 1-1 against Southampton. They went up to Newcastle and won. So they've got a bit of momentum at the moment. So potentially at a bigger price at 13 to 5, that's the standout price in the village. They might be the bet. And don't forget, they brought in a very good player in Michu. People said at the start of the season, literally the first weekend, who on earth is this guy? Yeah. Well, we know now he's got 7 goals in the Premier League, and he'd be a bet around about 8 to 1 first goal scorer, I think. OK, let's have a quick look at some of the other fixtures around the weekend. You've got a couple that you pick out for money-making possibilities. Yeah, very much so. 2 teams on, again, with contrasting recent fortunes, Tottenham Hotspur and West Ham. They also play on Sunday afternoon. That represents 8th. Against remarkably 7th. I had to look twice when I saw that, but the Happy Hammers riding high in 7th. There's a bit of wave of optimism there. Big Sam's come out and said, will they get David Beckham in potentially on a short-term deal? That would get the crowd G'd up there. Yeah. And I would say they seem to have a little bit the wind in their sails at the moment, whereas Spurs, well, they come back off the back of that 5-2 hiding against their bitter North London rivals last weekend. For Spurs, it's very important not to lose this game. Their odds on. For West Ham, well, a point on the road in a London derby, that'd be great for them. So potentially the draw might be the value there. William Hill, they go 15 to 2, about a 1-1 draw. Neither team have been particularly amongst the goals. So I think if you're looking for a value play there, 7.5 to 1, a 1-1 draw in that fixture. Right, and you got one more, you Southampton Newcastle you're looking at. Yeah, that's absolutely right. This is an intriguing fixture because Southampton, obviously, they're 19th, desperate for points. But Newcastle, another team who just in recent times, it just seems to have crumbled a little bit. Obviously, that sort of sapping defeat at home to Swansea last week, a lot of people didn't see that coming. And Southampton are just slowly but surely starting to hit form. So I wonder if 6 to 4, Errol 6 to 4, that might be the value play there. Newcastle, they're talking about this Europa League campaign they're targeting. You wonder, is that European football, the extra burden, just starting to tax their squad? It's not the biggest in the league. So that's a tough place to go down there, particularly when Southampton are scrapping for everything. So I just looked at that and I thought, just maybe 6 to 4 might be the play. And Southampton just to shade it 1-0. That's 10 to 1 with Stan James, a 1-0 home win. They don't score a lot of goals, but just maybe that might be the value. OK, let's move on finally to the Formula One season, drawing to close in Brazil this weekend. Vettel looks like he's got it in the bag again. Any chance for a big comeback from Alonso, Ian? What do you reckon? It'd be a fantastic story if he did. It looks like Vettel, it was very even, wasn't it, the first kind of half of the season. Second half of the season, it's been all about Vettel. And he's kind of gradually clawed back the advantage that Alonso had. And he's got a 13-point advantage now, and it looks like he's probably going to do it. But it may rain in Brazil, and if it rains, it's going to be a lottery, and then you can really see kind of anything could happen. Then you can see Alonso doing it. And also cast my mind back to some of those dramatic sort of final Grand Prix of the season. Lewis Hamilton comes to mind. Lewis Hamilton on the final bend when he wrenched it back from Massa. Prost and Senna driving each other off the road. Schumacher doing pretty much the same to Damon Hill. So I think when it's a one-off race, it's kind of a shootout, and especially with the weather angle as well. I think Vettel rightly the favourite, but don't write Alonso off. OK, and Tom, I guess the betting market reflects that, does it? Yes, it does. I mean, I think people are emboldened by the fact that Christian Horner, the Red Bull principal, he's really riding on a high at the moment. They've already wrapped up the Constructors' Championship. Just to put it into sense of context, if Alonso wins to take the title, he needs Vettel to finish no better than 5th. If he's 2nd, Vettel no better than 8th. And if he's 3rd, Vettel no better than 10th. Or obviously lower. I would drive very carefully, hasn't he? For sure. I mean, look, Vettel, for all that you made a brilliant point, Interlagos in particular, that's a tough circuit to drive when it rains. However, I would say Vettel, he's on the hat trick for the championship. He's driven absolute magnificently this season, and I would say I think he can wrap it up. He's 2-1. He's not great value. I wouldn't be rushing to have a bet. I mean, Alonso hasn't won it since 2006. Right. Yes, it could turn around, but I would say I think the bookmakers have got it about right. 2-1 favourite Vettel.
Okay, gents, thank you very much indeed for that. That is it for another week. My thanks to Tom Lee and Reuters' Ian Axon. Well, join us again next week when we'll be experiencing the magic of the FA Cup, finding out if Mark Hughes is still at QPR and asking if England can beat the All Blacks. I'm Nigel Stevenson. This is Reuters.